The last time your phone froze, it probably did not die all at once. First, one app stopped responding, then the screen lagged, then the battery dropped faster than usual, and only at the end did everything go black. That is how Rome fell. Not in one dramatic moment, not in a single battle, not because one enemy suddenly appeared at the gates and ended the ancient world overnight. But here's the part most people misunderstand. When we say the fall of Rome, we imagine a giant empire collapsing like a burning building, marble temples cracking, soldiers running, barbarians storming through the streets. And yes, Rome did burn, Rome was invaded, Rome was humiliated, but the real fall began long before the final emperor lost his. It began when the empire became too large to feel human. Imagine living on the edge of the Roman world. Far from the capital, far from the Senate, far from the statues, speeches, and triumphal arches, you pay taxes to Rome, you obey Roman law, you might even serve in the Roman army. But Rome is no longer a city you can imagine. It is a distant machine for centuries. That machine worked because everything moved. Soldiers, coins, grain, laws, letters, orders, and fear. Roads carried armies, ports carried food, coins carried trust. The army carried the promise that Rome could still protect you. That mattered because an empire is not only land on a map. An empire is a belief. People must believe the tax collector will return. The soldier will be paid. The border will hold. The emperor still matters. But slowly, that belief began to crack. Rome needed more soldiers to defend longer borders. More soldiers required more money. More money meant heavier taxes. Heavier taxes made ordinary people weaker, and weaker provinces became harder to defend. It was a circle tightening year after year. Then came pressure from outside. Gothic peoples, Huns, Vandals, Franks, they were not simply monsters from the darkness. Many were families, warriors, refugees, and rivals, pushed by hunger, fear, and other moving peoples behind. They did not only attack Rome, they entered it, bargained with it, served in its armies, settled on its land, learned its weaknesses. And that is the strange part. By the time Rome was falling, many of the men holding Roman weapons were not born Roman at all. This does not mean Rome was doomed because foreigners arrived. It means Rome had reached a point where it needed outsiders to defend itself from outsiders. That is when the border stopped being a wall and became a negotiation. Meanwhile, inside the empire, something quieter was happening. Cities shrank, trade slowed, roads became harder to maintain, local landlords gained more power. People began looking less to Rome and more to whoever could protect them nearby. That matters because collapse is not always the moment when the palace falls. Sometimes collapse is when ordinary people stop expecting the center. Then came the famous moments. In 410, Rome was sacked by the Visigoths. To people of the time, it felt impossible. Rome, the eternal city, violated. A Christian writer, Jerome, wrote as if the world itself had been shaken, but even that was not the end. The Western Empire kept breathing, weakly, unevenly, like an old body refusing to accept death. Then in 476, a young emperor named Romulus Augustulus was removed from power. It sounds symbolic almost to the point of poetry. The last emperor of the West had the name of Rome's legendary founder, Romulus, and the title of its first emperor, Augustus. And then he was gone. But even then, no trumpet sounded across Europe saying, "The ancient world is over." Farmers still woke up. Merchants still traded. Priests still prayed. Soldiers still demanded pay. The world did not end in one day. It changed. And here is the deepest twist. Rome did not fully disappear in the East. The Roman Empire continued for nearly 1,000 more years in Constantinople. Its people still called themselves Romans. In the West, Rome survived in laws, roads, languages, churches, titles, dreams, and fears. Kings wanted Roman legitimacy. Empires copied Roman symbols. Cities reused Roman stones. Even the idea of empire kept wearing Rome's shadow. So why does this matter now? Because every powerful system tells itself the same story. We are too big to fail, too old to disappear, too important to break. But history whispers something colder. Great things rarely collapse all at once. They become fragile first. The roads still exist, but fewer people maintain them. The coins still shine, but fewer people trust them. The army still marches, but no one knows who it truly serves. The capital still speaks, but the provinces stop listening. And by the time the final door closes, the empire has already been falling for generations. So the next time you hear that Rome fell in 476, remember this. That date is not the fall. It is the moment someone finally noticed the silence. Rome did not fall in one day. It faded, cracked, adapted, survived, and haunted the world that came after it. Because sometimes the most powerful empires do not truly vanish. They become ghosts. And those ghosts teach every age the same lesson. Power is never permanent. It only feels permanent while people